So we've been talking about the cinemas, you know, getting the opportunity to reopen after
Yeah.
the president came to speak to us. We went to the presidential film pitch. He mentioned that the task force and the stakeholders are meeting to try and see how we can reopen the cinemas. Producers, actors, actresses have led loads and loads of virtual campaigns, open our cinemas now and so on and so forth. And actually, I thought we were making headway because the last address by the president, gave us that iota of hope that in the coming weeks we will see the cinemas open. But the president of FIPA, which is Film Producers, what? Film Producers Association of Ghana, right, has come out to say that if they do go ahead to reopen the cinemas, right, observing the social distancing protocols, they will lose money.
I don't understand that.
So better yet, we shouldn't open it. We should wait for everything to get better, and then we can reopen to run it fully. Why? Because cinemas in Ghana take up to 500 people. Okay, and if they go ahead with some of these protocols, they would have to cut the number down to 250 because you're leaving a seat in between, right? And he thinks, this is a personal opinion, he thinks that when that happens, it's going to affect the revenue because already now they're not making enough money. You get me?
Can I counterpunch that?
So let's listen to what he said first.
All right,
and
let's
then
do that. Well, let's take a listen to what he said.
First of all, let me wish the listeners a very good morning. And I would say they have every right to be furious because it looks like all businesses are gradually being opened, but the film industry. I've been receiving a lot of calls, engaged in a lot of conversations. Why are we not pushing for the reopening of the film industry? Senior, we've done our calculations and realized that reopening of the cinema to observe the COVID protocols will not help. The reason is, in Ghana here, as we speak, we don't have any cinema theater that has more than 500 capacity at a time. So if we are to observe these protocols within the cinema halls, it means that at best we will have 250 audience at a time. And how much do they pay? And how much is going to be given to the producer? Because the sharing proportion is the operators of the cinema, they take between 40 and 50%, then the producer takes the rest. And looking at the cost of operating the cinema, so if the cinema operator takes 50%, the producer gets 40%. You can calculate how much is 40% of 250 people. Because originally the full capacity, we were not making. I would say we were just showing it, or we're using it as a form of advert for people to get to know of the advert, so that movie, so that when it gets to the market, they'll go for it. So we're not making money from there. So if we push for it and we are asked to, go and operate at half capacity, because we should observe the protocols. Senior, I don't think it will be a very good business sense to do that.
Right. So, in a way, you agree that it must remain closed until things are back to normal. Is if I heard you clearly?
That is my personal view, and that is an objective view, in the sense that you look at the cinema, the way the cinema halls are. Look at the architecture of the cinema halls. The same entrance is used for exits. There are no windows. Ventilation is very, very poor. So they use ACs. So it is a fertile ground for COVID transmission. So if we are to, if the nation is going to open cinema and ask us to observe the protocols, to me it doesn't make sense. We better close the theaters, because a movie, the moment it comes out, I would say a movie is one of the most perishable commodities. If it comes out and it is not good, senior, it is dead and dead forever. So I'll better hold on to it till the time is right, till everything is conducive for people to go to the cinema and have normal experience. Senior, can you imagine you go to cinema or where you cannot discuss what you are watching with anybody? Cinema has got its culture. So if we cannot practice that culture, I think it will not be, to me, it is not right.
All right, so those were the words of the FIPAG president. Now, I'm very disturbed actually by his train of thought, because there are a number of issues that I see here, and you can rebut on them when I give it. But let me pick two or three. Right. The first is that he's talking about a total capacity of 500, and that if we were to reduce the capacity, they will lose revenue.
That's right.
Okay. So let's take a normal day pre-COVID.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or premiere or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Apart from Black Panther and maybe one or two other movies, there's never been a time that Silverbird was full to capacity.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah.
Okay. In fact, the times I have been, maybe pre-COVID, let's say the 2 years pre-COVID, maybe 3 or 4 times, right? There were not more than a quarter full.
I think I personally do not know.
So I don't understand what he's talking about.
I personally do not know what influenced this particular statement, because yes, indeed, there is a culture to movies. There's a culture to film. There's a culture to go into the cinema.
Yeah.
Because he talked about, you can't even interact, you can't shout and all those things that we talked about even before he came out to say all those things. But I believe everybody has gotten the memo that we are not in normal times.
Yeah.
Even if we think COVID is not around.
Yeah.
This is a new normal, and you have to get.
But in church, we are still dancing and praising in church.
Exactly. And I was saying that
with our masks.
Right?
In air-conditioned
halls, you get me? And we still haven't heard cases from the churches.
Look, this man needs to come again, because what you said has no water.
You know what's funny? How do you lose money you don't have?
Yeah, exactly.
You get me?
No, somebody would argue that if you don't open the cinema, you are not incurring costs. Okay.
That is one.
So if you open it, you're going to have electricity bills, water running, and all of that. And if you don't make enough revenue, that's when you lose money. So that's the logic.
Yes.
Right. But here's a case where the infrastructure is actually rotting when it's not being used.
That's right.
So if you can have a little bit of money, it's better than having nothing.
I mean, if you have 250 people coming to 4 viewings, you can still make your money.
You make more than enough.
I don't know. Like you said, you don't know his turn of thought. So
on a normal day pre-COVID, we've never had in any of the cinemas, apart from maybe Black Panther or
Avengers,
a few of those kind of movies.
Especially with our local movies.
Yeah, we've never had any full capacity, not even half. Half will be even wishful thinking.
Like you said, it's disturbing that someone of this caliber, with such influence and power, who I believe might be part of the stakeholders reviewing the reopening of the cinemas, taking this stance, because that would mean that perhaps he said he's speaking for himself, right? But he doesn't know the power he wields. Like, people are actually waiting to have these cinemas open so that they could go premiere their movies and go watch. And you say something like this,
it was very disturbing.
It makes it look like, you're not really.
He's either not thought clearly through the issues.
I hope it comes again. I hope it comes again, and then we make a retraction to that. Okay, now moving on to other news.
So why do we have cinema operators speaking? Because film producers, he probably doesn't know what he's talking about.
The funny thing, the National Film Authority actually worked with Silverbird, right? And they actually put pictures of some of the protocols they are putting in place.
Yeah.
So if you go to your Facebook page, social media page, you see pictures of the social distance, the distance meter rule, and then you see what they've they put what you call a notice. Don't sit here, but you can sit here. You get me? You can see. So you can see the demarcations there as well. So that's the what you call the distance that you need to.
So where you would stand and all that.
And this is the seating arrangement.
So you're not supposed to sit on
where
the seats that they've marked.
Exactly. And I think for me, it's a good start.
Yeah.
I mean, when the churches and the mosque and other religious institutions were opening, they were asked to operate 25% of their total full capacity. And gradually, we saw there was an increase. So I was thinking, why don't you just wait?
Start.
And then after, if there are any issues,
Yeah.
you can come out and say, but now that we are trying to open our cinemas,
And you are completely against it. It doesn't make any sense.